G'day, this is Trek with Cam and welcome to episode 12 of my Australian Alpine Walking Track series. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to watch the 11 other episodes and you've enjoyed them. If you haven't seen them yet, go and check them out. Righto, this is just basically a gear review, including a few bits and pieces from my hike in February and March this year. Perhaps there might be something here that can help you in planning your AAWT adventure sometime in the future. Now, it's taken me a few goes to get to this point. A few technical glitches and human glitch. I'm not going to mention me, but anyway, so hopefully we can get through and not mumble and fumble their way too badly. Just a couple of things before I throw up the pack here. Look, what worked for me may not necessarily work for you. Look, you've really got to look closely at how long you're going for, time of year. So, you know, there's a lot to consider when you're looking at the sort of gear you're going to need to complete the track. Other thing, I'm not going to sit here and say, look, I've got the best gear, most expensive gear, or the lightest gear. What I had obviously worked for me was a combination of some new stuff, which I specifically got for the hike, and some stuff, the existing stuff that I had. So anyway, let's rip into it. Okay, the pack. Okay, that's basically as it was. No food in there. I've eaten all that. So what we'll do is we'll just pretty much unpack it as we go through. All I took on the hike was a couple of water bottles. Just some existing ones I've got, nothing special. So I'll make sure they were pretty much full every day. Pop it out of the way. Top of the pack here, rain jacket. Now, this wasn't the rain jacket I took. I actually borrowed one from the possible future son-in-law. It was just a little bit lighter, maybe a Kathmandu or something like that, I think was the brand of it. Yeah, that worked okay. This was just a little bit lighter than this one. Good rain jacket, but it's heavy. I'll pop that out of the way. Some hiking poles. I only used one at a time. Usually it comes out a bit easier than that. But making life hard for myself here. Alright, out you get. We'll come to the hiking poles in a moment. So on the back of the pack, I had my, that's just a little niche, I think that's how they pronounce it, poop shovel. And on here, we've got just a dry bag, Hellenox chair, and a pair of thongs. I'll wipe that down before it falls down. So yeah, some things that I wanted to do with the hike was, you know, not only being a long hike, 50-day hike, but I wanted to be comfortable. It was also a holiday. You know, I had a lot of side trips. I've done a lot of the mountains over the years, but doing this hike from end to end, I hadn't done. But you know, I did want to be, you know, have to take those couple of bits and pieces that, even though it would add weight, they would be hopefully come in handy. Pair of thongs. So hike all day, get to camp, thongs, fantastic. Plus, you know, I had rest days at Thredbo and Hotham. So they're just a lightweight pair of flip-flops there. Hellenox chair. I remember a long time ago, I used to get these chairs from Kmart. It was like an aluminium, just a stool thing. What the bloody hell are you taking that for? You could pick it up with your little thing on the back of your pack. It beats sitting on a log or the ground, particularly if you've got a bony backside. But this is a Hellenox Zero chair, so this was actually new for me. Fantastic bit of gear, especially, you know, you get to camp at the end of the day and, you know, socks and shoes off, relax, back with a cuppa or whatever. Yeah, easy to set up. So, the trick I had was just to flip that around like nunchucks. So suppose could have been a handy weapon out in the trail. And there you go, like that. I think I did it a bit quicker normally, but I'm under pressure here. So yeah, so a little Hellnox chair, that's sat on the back. Yeah, well worth it. We'll work that out of the way. Now, this here, dry bag, we'll come to that in a second as well. This here would actually, as my pack got lighter with food, would go inside the pack. So just have a little less drag weight on the back if you can and keep it more central. We'll start with, I suppose, this section down the bottom, or even before we get to that, we'll do the pack. So look, I had some existing packs. Look, you can spend a fortune on them, and you know, at the end of the day, how much weight do you want to save? You know, look, this thing's got all the pockets. It's probably you know, closer to some of the older style bags, at least where they've got a place for things. That's fine. This one's a Teton 4000, Explorer 4000, so it's about a 65 litre. Made it through, no worries at all. Now in the back here, solar panel, tent, and pretty much my bed setup. Let's have a little bit out of that. All right, so tent. So with the existing tents I didn't really think that I'd had anything suitable. Originally my wife was going, break a foot, ruled her out. I went with a Dan Durston X-Mid 2. So they're from out of Canada. Not a bad price. Fantastic tent. Really, once you work out how to set it up, easy. And you can set up in the rain, peg out the fly, do it from underneath. Held up to the winds. You know, it's a lot of strong winds and storms and things. So yeah, I was really pleased with this. Perfect for one person, a little bit squashy for two. I guess you've got two people to go to a three-man tent. I don't know how that works, but anyway. So basically that's the inner. In here, so obviously when you're out, you know, camping around, doesn't necessarily have to be the mountains, your fly is always wet. So I just basically would pack up the fly each day in this dry bag, keep the wet stuff in the dry bag, and that would just go inside the pack. So really handy. So not just the fly, but also the pegs, just aluminium pegs. You got to make sure it's with some of those winds, really important to make sure it's actually pegged. And the other thing now the Dan Durston doesn't come with any. It's a poleless tent, so it's, you know, you need your trekking poles. So that's how you buy it. You can buy ground sheets separately. I decided not to. Just extra costs. I ended up just getting one of these. I think they call it I got a little sheet here, so that way I don't forget things. And I need my glasses as well. Polycryo waterproof ground sheet, 152mm by 250mm. Work a treat. Just stops any condensation on the floor. Make sure you just, you know, usual things like stones and sticks. But this lasted the whole hike. Obviously one side of that's going to be wet. So again, you just, as I said, you just roll all that up, your pegs and whatever, and that just goes into that dry bag. And then, you know, if you don't have time in the morning or your lunch break, you know, when you make camp, you just pull it all out and dry it. Usually doesn't take long at all. Pretty quick to dry. So that was really handy. I suppose a bit trickier setting up in the wind when it's windy. Just get a few little rocks to hold it down. You know, you work out a routine with it. It's pretty easy. So So yeah, happy with the tent setup. Okay, on to the bed. So again, you know, I'm normally being a sleeping bag person. I hate sleeping bags, to be honest. I get hot feet, and they just. So I decided, you know, and with what I had, you know, look, I want to really have something that maybe can replicate a bit of what I had at home, so I was comfortable for 50 nights. Obviously, some Sherpas would have been good, carted a bed, but I don't know any Sherpas, so I decided to go with the Neve Waratah quilt. Now, this is Australian quilt. Man, this is a game changer. This stuff is fantastic. So I would actually put it in this dry bag. You can't really. I think when I first got it, I tried to fold it up, but it's just you forget it. You just good thing about it, you pull it out when you get to camp, stuff it in there, and you can really compress this up. Put it on the outside of the pack. It'll stay dry in a dry bag, and you can whack it in your pack as your food empties out. Yeah, really worked well. The specs for this, Australian made, as I think I said, it's 6'6", and I'm a little over 6 foot, 850 FP. I think that's to do with the down, -8. So I think you can get lower than that. Obviously, you know, if you're looking for something, certainly be a lot more four season. The quilt comes with some straps as well, so they can hook onto the quilt, and you can put that around your sleeping pad. You can zip up the end a bit. You know, there's some flexibilities with it, and yeah, but yeah, really warm. Fantastic bit of gear that. So righto, we'll pop you out of the way. Okay. The other thing I upgraded to as well was I ended up going with a Nemo insulated sleeping pad. Now this one's the long and the wide. These are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You know, like a lot of sleeping pads, you turn, you know, that feel that ground. You don't with these. Comes with a stuff sack as well. Just pump it up, and you can adjust it down to whatever you like. But yeah, you know, I probably toss and turn a bit normally sleeping. So yeah, these are brilliant. Better on a flatter surface. You start to get on a bit of a slope, and you know, you can do the old midnight shuffle a bit. But yeah, so that was a good bit of gear. Also, now I did have my pack here. I did also have a Alton fitted sheet. Now, again, making it like a bed at home. This was yeah, an Alton fitted sheet. It came with a sleeve for the pillow. Again, like I think once you're used to putting it on, you know, it's pretty quick. And you know, look, it held the pillow there, and it actually stops the pad from sliding and you sliding. The problem I guess I had with having only 5 food drops for 50 days, and people who do the hike in 30 days for the same amount of food drops, you know, they cart less food. I was carting more food, so I had a lot more weight, particularly earlier. So I decided to cut some things when I got to Hotham, and I decided to cut that. On a normal hike or any other hike for a few days or whatever, yeah, I'll take that. So, you know, just a bit of comfort was good. So, yeah, that got the flick. And the other thing was the pillow. I've just got a Cedar Summit Eros Premium Large. Couple of blows in that, and you can just adjust that as well. Yeah, comfortable for me. I suppose, you know, you're old, neck and things, if you're not, you know, lying right and whatever, but this was pretty good. So that was pretty much my my sleeping setup. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Now I mentioned one thing I forgot to mention there before going back to the tent was the poles. So I normally don't use hiking poles. I'm always a find a stick out of the bush sort of thing, and that's my little cobweb, and you know, flick whatever out of the way, the odd snake or whatever it is. Really flick them out of the way too often. But yeah, so which hiking poles would I go for? I was worried about the handle, so I ended up going with these. This is a fairly inexpensive hiking pole. It's a Mountain Designs tread cork trekking pole, and they held up really well. So yeah, so they would. The one I would walk with would be the height of what I had the tent at. So the one in the pack, all I had to do was just just adjust it up to whatever height. Fine. And these rubber stops on the end. And when I normally hiked, you know, in the AAWT with the rubber stops in, you just take them off, and that's what sits up underneath the tent there. And yeah, it just hooks on as well, and just pulls it a little bit tighter the base. You get that height right on the tent. And these rubber stops too, you can. I did actually. I did actually buy some on the internet, some spares, and I just had one in my repair kit, and then put a couple here and there in my food drops. So buy them online. Live in the country here, so we don't get won't see any of that sort of stuff in the stores. So, and the other thing I did with the hiking pole as well was just one of them. I just some of this tape. Just wrap that around, a few layers of that. I actually ended up using that tape. I'll show you what I used it on, so it did come in handy. So I picked that up off another fella just on YouTube, perhaps like what you're going to do, just those little tips. So hiking poles, I think that's them. So just clear a couple of things there out of the way. All right. Righto, what else we got in the pack here? Well, we'll pull everything out. Ooh, bowl. Okay, might be easy, we'll just pull this out all together. Alright, so inside the hiking pack now, the pack, it has a rain cover. A lot of packs do have rain covers. You know, I've got another one you can use as well, but before one on here is fine. Rain jacket, but anything I was worried about getting wet, particularly clothes or food, I just put in one of these plastic bags, and this actually lasts me the whole hike. So it's just a waterproof poly pack liner. This one was 71 centimetres by 91.5. So yeah, I just can't think, ultralight hiker might have been the online one I got it off. So yeah, that was another handy thing. So in there, clothes, repair kit. We might actually just go. I'll just quickly go through my repair kit. I just had a little bag, I just kept it all in. Right, what have we got here? Okay, just had a little bit of cord, just in case for the tent. I don't know if I had all three bits, but give you an idea, you know, you can use cord for a number of things. I actually had a hike a couple of years ago when my boots fell apart, so I used a USB cord, some cable ties and some cord to hold the boots together. The whole base was basically was off nearly both boots. It just completely decided to disintegrate and had about 80 to 90 k's to go. So I held them all together, and fortunately, yeah, got through, no worries. What else we got in here? Just some matches, battery that was for the head torch. and I think I had another one maybe in the a food drop further on. Super glue. I mentioned a couple of cable ties there. I think I had a couple more. Tent patch, just in case. And just in that little, I think it's a little camera container thing, I had a bit of needle and thread, which I didn't end up needing. The big sky, will go with that one in a minute. All right, so we'll go on to sort of quickly run through clothing, I suppose. We'll start from the bottom up. Boots, I just had high-tech boots. I like the high-tech boots. The last pair I had lasted me a long time. Yeah, they fell apart, but that were well worth it. I suppose they're a compromise between they're not too heavy and they're not too light. And you know, when you're doing a lot of off-track stuff with rock and whatever, it's good to have a tough boot, something that's light enough and flexible. So I'm really happy with these. No issues. They were brand new. I did run them out the back here, out through the bush, the mountains out the back here. Perfect training ground out the back here for the high country. Other than the socks I had on, I had a spare pair of socks. So all up 2 pairs of socks. Quite often they're wet. Dry them as much as you can. Sometimes you just choose what's the least wet, and yeah, they stunk. Yeah, sometimes the socks I had to really try and get them away from the tent overnight. What type of socks? I don't know. Ones that go on your feet. They worked well enough for me. Pair of gaiters. These weren't the gaiters I had. The gaiters I had, I think the daughter got them from Japan. They were really good, but unfortunately the zips gave up just as I was leaving, literally as I was leaving Threadbow. So I ended up throwing them out, which was unfortunate, but I probably could have just oiled up the zips on them. But long gaiters is probably being my point. The ones I had these, they just like a little clip sort of thing. You could just whack them on underneath and just hold the gaiter down under your boot. Worked quite well. I had a couple of spares of those. I think I had one in the repair kit and one further along the track. But yeah, certainly long gaiters if you're doing a lot of wandering around, which is what I did over 50 days. I know some people I've seen in past a couple with runners and just a short gaiter. If you're mostly on the track, it's probably not too bad. What else? We were on the bottom half, weren't we? I just put it on my clothes. This is an old trail sack. It doesn't really matter. Just stuff I had in my camping gear. 2 pairs of shorts. One pair of shorts I wore for the whole hike, and then I just had a pair of these lightweight swimmers. Obviously, if I wanted to change after camp, go for a swim or wash or whatever. So a pair of those. Never had any long pants. I normally don't wear long pants even in winter. So as long as the top half is warm when I need to, bottom half I don't care. So yeah, we've had a snow. Okay, singlet, just an old footy training singlet. It was handy because obviously I was in February and March. That's just a long sleeve flanny. It's a lightweight thing. Certainly come in handy overnight, especially when we had some of them cold snaps and the latter part of the hike there as well. And 2 t-shirts. Now, I actually had a lady who said, I spoke to, what was it, just after Albina Lake, past Kosciuszko, and I was chatting with her, and she said, my girlfriend and I were talking about how many t-shirts we should take. If we took 2, would you alternate wearing them? And I said, you want my advice? If you take 2 t-shirts, only wear one hiking. Use the other one either you sleep in or when you go to town or something like that, because the t-shirt you wear hiking all the time, you're always gonna sweat, stinks, it stains from sweat after a while. Yes, you can wash it, but you might as well completely ruin one shirt, and as I said, at least have something reasonable when you get to town. So 2 t-shirts. I mentioned I already had my rain jacket. The only other bit of clothing that I had was now this here I've got is a puffer jacket, and the fellow I know, he gave me a couple of these straps. They're it compresses really tight. When I was looking at doing a final cut on any weight, I know the missus said maybe get rid of this. I'm glad I didn't. I'll tell you what. Puffer jacket. Yeah, easy to fold up. It just compresses. But yeah, this is just like an oven. So yeah, that was nice to have, particularly when you're up, in the mountains, and it's even summer, it gets quite cold out at night. So puffer jacket. And there you go. All right. So that was pretty much my clothing, hat, sunnies. Now I did have a BCF hat. The BCF hat I did wear a few times. The problem with that is it's man, that thing gets so stuffy. You get in the shade and you just take it off, and it's like opening the oven. Unfortunately, with the packing up and moving around the whole, I think I got to about 4 Mile Hut up on northern Kosciuszko there, Jagungal, and it got cremated. So yeah, it wasn't expensive, but yeah, it didn't make it back, unfortunately. Okay, righto. Other pockets here. This one here. Now you may have a bit of a giggle. I've got a couple other little cooking setups, but again, something that was sort of like almost an all-in-one thing. This is a Kmart, one of them $50 camp. I think it's a Camp Master. I guess it's like the jet boil alternative. Is it slightly heavy? Probably is. Little sack that it comes in, but terrific bit of gear really. Got everything in it that you want. So I did all my cooking with this. It's got the stand and whatever, but it's a great material with it. Like, if you got water, just swirl it around. It cleans up really easy. The only thing I had, I think, was the buttered chicken was a lot oilier. But I did take some Cedar Summit, those wilderness wipes. Had a pack of those for the first, for each third of the hike. So Walhalla to Hotham to Thredbo to Tharwa. Had a pack of those because it was quite dry. So sometimes, your layers of sweat, so you just use the wilderness wipes, have a bit of a wipe, and one of those was perfect just to clean your pot. You didn't need much else, so that was the so I use that for basically all my cooking, boiling water, worked a treat. Now I also went for I decided to go for the little 100-gram gas containers. That they're getting harder to find these days. This is jet boil. It's the only one I could get anywhere close to where I live, in the next town. So really expensive. I think it was birthday present money on those ones, and I just put them through my various food drops. I did a calculation on pretty much how much gas I thought I would go through with hot drinks and that sort of stuff, and allow for extra. I think I got to into the hike a bit there, and I actually had one of these spare, which I knew I wasn't going to need, so I left it in one of the huts. Done my bit for the hiking community. Now with that, I had the long spoon handy for that, just to eat straight out of that, cereal and whatever. Now I mentioned all I had otherwise was I did have a Swiss Army knife. Use that for obviously cutting things, but for my portion spreads, for my crackers and that, Vegemite, and the bowl. Now that bowl is whenever I went and got water, this bowl would go with me. I'll explain that in a little bit in a little short period of time. The other thing I took with me was I took a big Sky, one of these cozies. I sent this home at Hotham. You know, look, I had dehydrated meals. Once you heat up your dehydrator, it's already cooked, but once you heat it up and you let it sit, I just, you know, the thing's raging hot still 15 minutes later without this. So it's like, you know, so it got sent home as well. Okay, what else we got here in pockets? Okay, and oh yeah, my little thermal mug, head torch in that. Look, I know there's so many different choices of head torch. I just got one of these little hardcore, I think it's a 155 lumen, whatever it means. It's AA battery in it. Had a spare battery, or had another one down, another spare battery and a food drop further on. So obviously daylight savings through the summer there. I didn't see too late anyway, so that was good. And that's just a little pouch. I had with another torch, so I just whacked it in that and it fit it into there quite perfect. I said you find a home for everything, and you get very routine on where everything goes. Like even doing this gear video, I just packed it straight back as I had it, you know, for the 50 days. Thermal mug. Good thing about that, I love my cup of soups in the arvo, because I obviously didn't have any beer. So cup of soup in a few shapes was fantastic when I made camp middle of the afternoon. Close the lid on that, I could drag out a cup of soup for about an hour or so. Sensational. Okay, what else we got in here? Oh well, the essential toilet paper. Again, spread that out in your food drops. Same with toothpaste. Obviously, don't go through a huge amount of toothpaste. Well, shouldn't. Got the shaver in there. The shaver went in on Hotham, and it needs a shave beforehand. You know, I hate a beard really, and they're all grey whiskers, and I don't like grey. It's the problem with getting older, I suppose. So that, I just had a little plastic bag. Toothpaste, these little toothpaste, you can get them from Kmart. So up in the next town there. And some deodorant there. That was, I didn't bother putting that on every day. Not much point. Only when I got to the town. Stayed in Hotham in Thredbo. So it could smell a little pretty. Little mirror, quite handy. Lightweight little thing. And some. This is Cedar Summit Wilderness Wash, the multi-purpose. Now, I never bothered washing the dishes in a sack or anything like that. There's not much in the way of dishes, you know. If you buy a little stream or river or something, it's super easy to clean up. As I said, the wilderness wipe, or even just a little bit of water, drinking water, would clean up things pretty well. But the wilderness wipes would get rid of that, wipe the oil stuff from the pot here. But the multi-purpose I would use for when I had a bit of a wash up, stream or river, and it was also handy for my washing, and that's where this stuff, the dry bag for the tent or the fly would come in handy, because I do my washings, socks, jocks. I mentioned, yeah, a couple of pairs of jocks as well. I won't show you those. But yeah, just do my washing in here, socks, whatever, and a bit of that in, rub a dub, and you're back to smelling pretty for until the next morning when you start hiking up a hill and you perspire wildly again. So that was pretty good. What else we got in here? That might just about be the pack. Now, did I mention? So yeah, just these. Got got these little, these are just the carabiners. Now I made sure that I've got various different carabiners, but these, the screw lock, really important, because the last thing you want to do is lose anything out on the trail. So obviously I had one for the poop shovel, one of the water bottles, and I have a couple on the pack here. Which way? I had a couple positioned on the pack here, which I'd hooked the solar panel onto. Only ran the solar panel a handful of times on the back of the pack there. But I'll go through that when I go through the electrical stuff. I can feel a couple more things in here. And yeah, not that one. Okay, 6 litre bladder and first aid kit. So that's everything in the pack. Say goodbye to that. Okay, so that's the water bladder. We'll go through that when we go through the water. First aid, it looks a little bit bulky. I'll tell you the reason why. Basically, the first aid stuff I had was Panadol, Voltaren, and mine a bit of Voltaren, got me through footy to an old age. Alcohol wipes, betadine, Thars, not full tins of that sort of stuff, you don't need a hell of a lot. Band-aids, cotton buds, cotton wool, tweezers, just, you know, small amounts of those sorts of things. Splinter needle, they're a great thing, especially if you're, you know, always cutting wood or lifting wood and things like that. Splinter needle, safety pin, and then of course the important things like snake bandage. Now I had a snake bandage, also just another triangular bandage there. Now it may not necessarily be for me, it may be for someone else that you come across is in trouble on the track. You never know your luck. Yeah, look, it's like a few things, you know, with the hike. It's like, you know, if you don't take some things, you know, that might come back to bite you. So it's, you know, it's like a damned if you do, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that was first aid. Okay, right, now on to, now the pack was great for a lot of the bigger stuff, but the problem being out for so long was having just those bits and pieces, finding a home for them, and I didn't have enough room in the pack, and I was worried it would happen, and of course it did. So I ended up, unfortunately I had to go for this option, which was the yarn shoulder pockets. I say unfortunate because I didn't really want to have to do it, but you know, the upside I guess was you know, you find a home. I knew where every single thing I had was, and all the bits and pieces went into here, into these shoulder pockets, and they just clip on at the front there. They're easy enough to fit on. You get quite used to it, and onto your harness as well. So they have they've got a few different pockets in them. Pocket at the front here, these little zips across the top, and then of course you've got your main part of your pockets, which have, well, I'll open one up. So they've got a water or a dry bag inside. So I'd put, you know, anything I was concerned about getting wet would always be in those. So I'll run through those quickly. So front pocket, my mobile phone normally comes in a case thing, but I use something like this on the hike. It's just a hard plastic cover type thing, but it just made it easier for taking photos and things. Hopefully you like my photos. The Samsung phone I've got, I think it's an S10 Plus. God, they take some great photos. But I've been having trouble with it doing the video for this, so I'm on the wife's video mobile. So obviously with that, if it was raining and whatever, that would go into the dry bag. What else we got in here? Oh, my glasses would go in there, old age. Now, one of the things I kept just behind that would be my maps. So I'll run through these as well. So how I did it, so this is just keep things dry. How I planned to hike out was, now most of you know that it's probably the Bible for the AAWT, which is the Australian Alpine Walking Track John Chapman book. I think that's still the latest one. What I did was I snuck into the office and photocopied the whole book, and then I made it into the sections of all the, you know, so I'd have what the first section till I got my first food drop at Mount Skiing. Then I'd have the next lot of maps and do that right through all the food drops. So I didn't have to take literally what would be photocopies of the whole book. Because they're photocopies, as you're going through the hike and you don't need that part anymore, you just burn it with your rubbish. Yeah, so you know, you've got basically the whole book, all the notes and things like that. You know, I guess for the most part the book's correct. You know, there were a couple of sections there where the track had been rerouted, rerouted. Probably one thing I note on there that they do say pleasant campsite. That's a debatable thing, but you know, I guess it just is what it is. So that's the Chapman book, and then the maps. Look, I've got maps coming out my ears here. I love my maps. I don't read newspapers. I read maps. Yeah, I've got a problem. But so I just took maps, my original maps, and when I got to Thredbo and Hotham, I'd send them home. But look, for me, having done a lot of the mountains, any area that I was probably, I guess, concerned with navigation, I would make sure I had, you know, you might have a more of a detailed map. You know, you've got your big maps, and then some of the ones like rooftops are just fine for, you know, a lot of those popular areas through Bogong. I mean, I know that area extremely well, but you know, the track is, for the most part, pretty straightforward to follow with your markers and things like that. So, you know, look, for me personally, I didn't feel the need to go over the top with maps at all. So I tried to keep it fairly light in that department. So anyway, so they were all kept in that, and yeah, and just rubber band that up. We'll get that all right. What else we got in here? Goodies. Okay, that's bulky. Okay, this little pouch here, I don't know where I got it from, but in that was a perfect little home for my PLB. I bought a brand new PLB. That's a GME 610 plus 610. Yeah, anyway, the good thing with this little carry bag here thing, when I'd go on my little expeditions where I didn't need the pack or anything like that, just from where I was camped or something like that, it's got a little Velcro strap at the back, and I could just hook that into my pants. So so that was handy. In here is just I think they call it a tactical utility pouch, fancy word. Notebook. Took all my notes and things like that. Obviously I've got a little pen in there. Also in here, got my compass. Didn't need it. And I had in here my power bank. So this was a, so now we'll grab that solar panel as well, and we'll do that. So I had my, I had a 20,000 mAh. I don't know what that means, but I believe it. You can get 5 full charges out of it. So this thing, I don't think it even got less than half. And I picked it up for about maybe not even $50, I think, on special. So that worked a treat. It is heavy. Same with the solar panel. They're quite heavy. You know, but 50 days, I had over 2,000 photos and videos, so I didn't even realise I had that many until my son told me, but one thing I wanted was to make sure I didn't run out on the phone, miss anything. So that was the power bank, and so I have the, I have got a solar panel, but it's only like a 5-watt one. I've taken that on hikes before, certainly not as heavy as this, but you know, look, it certainly served all my power needs. This actually worked really well. I was really impressed with the this solar panel. So it's a big blue 28-watt solar panel. So this one you can get it with or without. This one's got the ammeter. The little cable comes with a cable inside there. So you know, you can put if you're putting it on the back of your pack, you've got the eyelets there where I would hook it on with the carabiners and lock it to make sure no chance of anything coming off. Worked really well, particularly you know, if you had the sun on it. But even when I was at camp or lunchtime, I'd pull it out and you know, put some charge into the phone or and it really you know, when that's on full sun, it works a treat. So yeah, you can just put your phone or solar charger in there and zip it up. Yeah, so really good bit of gear that. Yeah, it's just again, it's just one of those things you've got to sacrifice putting up with the weight. Okay, what else we got in here? So I had a couple of the USB cord, a couple of USB cords, a 240 volt USB adapter. I had that in my first food drop at Hotham, so obviously I had nowhere to plug it in before then. And then obviously you've got to take it for the rest of the hike. What else I've got in here? As I said, a couple of USB charger cords, a couple of rubber bands. Rubber bands come in handy. Earphones, I just had a little case, I just whacked them in that, kept them sort of a bit more protected. Listen to the country tunes. Okay, so that's that one. All right, next one. I've got some Bushmans. Again, I didn't, you know, a couple of like containers of these things, and so I just made sure it was one of the ones that didn't have a lot in it. I don't use a heap of it anyway. I figure the more you spot flies, the more they're going to try and annoy you. So probably across Borbor Plateau, the marsh flies were horrendous, and they didn't seem to care about this. They'd bite through your hat and your shirt, and they were buggers. So didn't really get bothered too much beyond Borbor. So, and I found they weren't. And when it comes to things like leeches, now I had planned with the leeches to use this. You would have seen this perhaps in the videos. This is just a little squirt bottle, pump bottle, and I thought Bushman's is no good when it's wet. And day 2 proved my theory correct when I was heading up. I think it's a 5-8 track up towards Borbor, and yeah, wet day, and yeah, and up through the fernery and whatever, covered in leeches, and so white vinegar. That's all I use. And you know, with the leeches, you just squirt squirt them, and then by the time you finish squirting them, you come back to the first one and just flick them off. And I have about 3 places where I encountered leeches, and that worked perfectly, because this just washes off when you're going through ferns and stuff like that. So yeah, so, and that's, you know, rather than rubbing that all over yourself, you just got to squirt that on. It's a bit of vinegar. You smell nice. Some chips would be sweet. And then when I finished that, I knew I had no more leeches. I think that was after Gill Creek. Emptied it out. Put some Worcestershire sauce in it. That's some sunscreen. Yeah, my little pocket in here. Lighter. I've got a spare lighter. I think that I'll put that in probably the halfway mark. Just a spare lighter in case. Lip balm was really good, particularly going across from Kosciuszko across that, the range across there, a lot of wind and really dries the lips out. Swiss Army knife there, that just, perfect for, spreading my Vegemite and that on my crackers and that in the morning. I'm sure I'm missing a pocket. It is like the never-ending pockets. Right, I'll just get it all out of here. Okay. Pockets, none. So, towel, just an airlight towel, 60 centimetres by 120. Used that a few times, dry pretty quick, handy. You can just stand out in the wind and just dry naturally, I suppose. Toothbrush. I know some people like to cut their toothbrushes in half to save on weight. Okay. Spare glasses. I had 3 pairs of glasses and I broke 2 of them within the first week or so. So I had to get some more sent up to Hotham, and I missed, and they missed getting to Hotham. I ended up getting them at Thredbo, and funnily enough, my son sent up 4 pairs at Thredbo, and I had the 1 pair to last me for I don't know, a heap of days, and it was amazing. They actually held together, and you wouldn't believe it. I got the 4 pairs at Thredbo. I sent 2 back home, took the other 2, and the pair that I lasted me for most of that hike broke within the next day. So I hate the damn things. Tissues, these are just little Kleenex packs. I put 1 in each, just in each leg, in the six legs. You can just buy them at Kmart or supermarket, I think. And then there's a pack there, 10 a pack or something. They're handy little tissues. And water filter, and it's just another 2 litre bladder. So we'll quickly run through the water. So I ended up going with a, normally with the water I often use just a solution. I'm not big on the tablets. Probably should have taken tablets, but the solution, yeah, the only problem with that is being out for so long and might to leak and then you've got nothing. So I ended up going with a Sawyer Mini. Now this works fine. It comes with the bag and your syringe. Now, when I mentioned the tape going around my hiking pole, trekking pole, that's where the tape come in handy. I end up by, I think I might have sat on it, the syringe, so but it was cracked, but it was enough the tape held it together, so that worked fine. So the Sawyer Mini works well, with the exception of the bag. The bag's rubbish, to be honest. It split on me at Gill Creek, and then I had super glue trying to hold it together at least until I got to Thredbo. I think I got as far as Tin Mine Huts, and I remember swearing black at blue at this. I'd just done the water, and I had enough of it, and I looked up, and this bloke Danny, who the German fellow, was doing the AAWT. He started after me and finished before me. He thought it was quite funny, my colourful language. Anyway, so the only water I drank that wasn't filtered was at just a little stream that fed into Thredbo River. And so when I got to Thredbo, I actually bought a couple of these pump bottles, and that actually fit on the Sawyer Mini. So I managed to get through from there, which was good. But yeah, I think I'll go with there's a couple other filter bags which are bigger and tougher. So I can't think of the brands, but I'll look at those in future. Yeah, so I pretty much had to filter water every day. Chase water every day. I filtered the water anyway. Yes, you've got those areas where there's a lot of animal activity, particularly horses. And I mean, Tin Mine Huts there, the Injigudgery River is terrible, with the what horses go through the river there. But yeah, if you're prone to amoeba and guardian, that sort of stuff, just filter your water anyway. And I've had it before, and I've had it for about 3 or 4 months. It's not very pleasant. So yeah, so basically how I sort of planned to do the water was, you know, each day I'd use this. This one's it's a Cedar Summit 6 litre bladder, and I would just fill this up. If I had to walk for a couple of k's, I know at Knobs Track I had to go down the track there, nearly a couple of k's to find water. I would just use this to fill up, so just untreated water in this. I just added a little strap to it, so you know, whack it over your head and just make it a bit easier to carry. The handles on them are actually pretty strong anyway, so it's a good bag, I found. So I would just fill that up. Only problem with this is when you fill them up, if you've got hard flowing water, it's quite easy to fill. You can fill it very quick, but when it's sort of a smaller stream, it's near impossible. In comes the bowl. The bowl is perfect. It takes no time to fill that up, and once you fill that up, you can go back to camp and then start filtering your water. So I would use basically then, you know, refill up my water bottles ready for the next day. Throw the water in my pot there for cooking, hot drinks and whatever. And I have also took a 2 litre bladder. This is just a Seeker Hydro Pack, sorry. Hydro Pack 2 litre bladder. This one I would use with treated water. So, and I would keep this basically as my spare water over the course of the night. So what I would do is any water I drank out of my bottles overnight, or any extra water I needed for, you know, for cuppa in the morning, something like that, or cereal, I would use from here. Anything left over, I'd either put in a pack, or I'd generally just drink it. So make sure, you know, because it's treated, don't waste it. So that's pretty much how I did that. So I would take those, certainly take the bladder, the bowl and the syringe. A couple of times where water was that hard to get. I remember one, it was just a small trickle, and you just had to try and get it in just enough to suck it up from the syringe and into the bladder. I mean, yeah, it took a fair while, and with bloody mozzies it was not a lot of fun. That was on 2 occasions actually. So yeah, so that was pretty much my water. Yeah, and with the bladder, like anything I hadn't used the next day, you know, you could use it for washing up and just empty it out, and then yeah, and you just fold it up in your pack, and you know, as you fold it up, you can just let the air out of it and, you know, bang into your pack again. So that was my water. I think we're nearly there. Probably the only other thing I was going to mention, I don't know how we're going on time, whether I rattled on too much, but probably just on the food side of things. As I said, I had dehydrated meals. One thing I did do with the dehydrated meals, once they were vacuum sealed, was I just added in these little moisture sachets. When you're going to cook up your dehydrated meal, make sure you take those out, don't eat them. They say don't eat them. I've never tried it, but yeah, and make sure you check your dehydrated meals actually taste good. I experimented with the veggie ones, and they didn't turn out too good at all. So I was fortunate that I had enough. I had big meals for the spaghetti bowl and the butter chicken, so that worked out okay in the end. Although I will point out that the butter chicken I got wrong. It was only supposed to be a teaspoon of chili powder, and I put in 3 tablespoons. And that was an absolutely ripper of a dish. They just sweat and yeah, come out hotter than went in the next morning. All right. Yeah. So other things I did, like I like my cereal in the morning. So just a big bag of cereal, which would last me for that leg, pre-mixed with pre-mixed with milk powder, and added in things like dry fruit. So you know, various different dry fruits, just all in one big bag, shuffle up, and then you just you just whack that in your bowl each day. So pre-mix it, say taking milk powder separately and whatever. Other things I did with, I made up a lot, I vacuum sealed a lot of other portions. So things like dead instant mash, so I added that into my dishes. So you know, you buy it in a big bag, and then you work out how much you think you'll need for each meal. And then like the pot, so if I had, say, pork stew, pop the pork stew in there, heat that up, I put in extra water. So once that's, you know, let that sit for 15 minutes, it'd still be quite watery. You get pretty used to sort of judging how much extra water to put in. And then, you know, once that's sat for 15, add in the instant mash, stir that up, beautiful. And yeah, so and I did that. So with those so portions, I did that with a number of other things as well. I do that with my coffee. Also did it with what was the other thing I did it with? Oh yeah, my hot chocolate. Love the hot chocolate. They were nice. So I'd make up. So I'd have that how I would normally have it to suit that, my mug, and just cut open the vacuum sealed little hot chockey, pour that in. All I had to do was add water, add my milk powder in there as well, sugar, Powerade. I bought Powerade in a one of those containers. I don't know what size it was, and made up portions of that as well. And I actually added those to my snack bags. So I had a snack bag with, you know, chockies and lollies and shapes and chips and whatever, which I had for each day. I'd have each day in a separate bag, and then I'd put all the bags for that leg in one big bag. One of the things I made sure I did was, you know, you try and compress them a bit with, you know, try and get the air out of them so they pack up. You get quite good at sort of doing that sort of stuff, how you sort of pack them all in. So yeah, the Powerade, and then what I, you know, as I'm going on the hike, something like this, if it was down to half or a third, I'd just add in my Powerade, and then I could drink that. It was quite nice with lunch. Or freshly filtered water, cold water, that would be sensational. What else did I do? Other thing I did brekkie, just had, you can buy them, the little portions, Vegemite portions. I had honey as well. So I think Vegemite come in a pack of 50 or something like that. You can do different sizes. So pretty much Vegemite every day, and you can put it in for your lunch as well. Had wraps and crackers and things like that. Yeah, there's plenty of other, look, it really depends on what you like for food. You know, there's a lot of options out there. I had other things like the Safcol, the tuna pouches, salmon pouches, the I think there was air-dried salami, a few different flavours of that. One other thing I did too was the it's called the Laughing Cow. They're cheese. It doesn't necessarily have to be refrigerated. They come in little triangle portions, different size packs of those. But I had those throughout my food drops, and I'd sort of, you know, portion to, you know, for each day sort of thing. And I actually just foil wrapped them again, and I think even up to the last day, where some of them have been sitting in the tubs there for almost 2 months, no problem at all. So they were the Laughing Cow. They're probably available in most supermarkets. Of course, I love me a cup of soups were quite good. Noodles, cracker biscuits. Yeah, and then like with your food drops, you know, there's what other things, you know, goodies. Well, you probably would, if you've seen the video, you would have seen the tin of braised steak and onion at Taylor's Crossing, you know. One thing I'd probably mention with my food drops that I wouldn't do again, I wouldn't bother putting water in there. Because basically, like with water, you're getting water every day anyway. The thing I'll probably add in would be, you know, an extra can or two of soft drink. I mean, it's just, you know, nothing better than some of the little sugar fixtures you'd get at those sort of breaks, you know. So that's probably one thing I would do a little bit different. Yeah. So all right. Well, I think that's pretty much about everything that I was going to tell you about. Anyway, if you've got any, yeah, that's pretty much about it. So I've probably rattled on enough. This is the old out before it's dinner time. So, all right, if you've got any questions, feel free to just add a question there on the video, and I'll do my best to get back to you. And but other than that, hopefully this has been informative for you. If you are going to head out on the AAWT sometime in the future, good luck. All I would say is you know, planning is really important. And you know, look, I am a bit of a planner, and I planned a lot of things, and you know, look, some things didn't work out, but you know, that happens on hikes anyway. If you know you're trying to probably, you know, hikes I've done in the past, we try to bite off that little bit more than you can chew. You've got to learn to think on your feet, and you know, whether that's weather conditions or you know, something breaks or whatever, that's a good test of your mettle. So you know, I don't mind some of those challenges, but you know, at the end of the day, I got through, and it's an experience I'll never forget. And I know at one point I said I wouldn't do it again. I know where I said that somewhere, but I think I would. All right. Happy trails, and stay safe out there. All right. Thanks for watching. This is Trek with Cam. See ya. Bingo.